All right, there we go. And we're going live. Okay, so I'm not going to double check all this stuff. Looks like everything's looking good for the live stream this morning. OBS is showing that everything's good, and so is YouTube. So I won't be checking back here too much. I'm a couple of minutes early, just getting everything ready. So good morning, everybody. Happy Monday morning. I hope you have a good start to the work week. So for my start to the work week, we're doing these live streams lately. So it's become kind of a ritual. I've missed two in what's coming up on a year of doing the live streams now. So I'm pretty excited that the live streams have been popular and that we've been getting a response. So thanks everyone. And look, it's 8 o'clock. I'm gonna go ahead and minimize the YouTube studio screen and welcome everybody to the channel. So my name is Rich Charpentier. I'm the channel host. And if you're new to the channel, we do a lot of drone talk and imaging talk, and also building our small drone and imaging business. So in today's video, I wanted to talk about change because change happens. I've gotten a couple of comments over the last week from some YouTube subscribers here that they were having problems with different things. So I wanted to talk about a couple of items that have had some pretty interesting and substantial updates, and updates that will be useful to you if you're using them. But sometimes when the updates show up, we run into problems. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize that one. And we are going to take a look at Explore Prescott. It's one of our websites. This is kind of a for fun website, and we use it for a test platform, but we also use it for showing some of our virtual tours. Now, hey, good morning, Ray. How are you doing today? Good to have you on channel here. So we were using this as a test bed a couple of years ago, but over time it's evolved, and now it's kind of our virtual tour platform, and also telling people about some of the cool places in the Prescott area. Now, this particular website is built with WordPress, and we use a theme called Xtheme, created by a company called ThemeCo. And they offer a really unique page builder that is fantastic for building on WordPress. So I pulled this one up because I want to tell you a horrible story. When I did my first Udemy class ever, the first Udemy class that I ever launched was on Xtheme. And I spent a fair amount of time building the class. It was weeks of actual production time and video and editing and all these great things, getting the class just where I wanted it. So we went ahead and launched the class, and within about 2 weeks, Xtheme had come out with a huge new update that changed a lot. As a matter of fact, that wasn't the first time they've ever done that to me. Back in, I think 2015 or 2016, while I was building some sites for some RV resort clients, they had a major update come out that changed the whole page building experience. We're not talking about something small. We're talking about the overall interface radically changed. And so sometimes the products that we're using, whether it's firmware for one of our drones or the Ricoh Theta Z1, or whether it's some new software updates or some changes in software, sometimes the developers forget about the consumer in the end. And by that, I'm not picking on the developers here, but I'm saying they don't approach things in the same way that I, as a user, approach things. So while they think they're rolling out a really awesome new feature for me, in the end, they actually just doubled the time it takes me to work on pages. So I just want to go under Explore Prescott. I'm logged into the site, and I just want to go to the dashboard really quick. And right now, so I have 2 updates waiting for me. So this is one of the big things when we're dealing with tech. For drone pilots, we're not getting a bunch of firmware updates all the time. We might have some app updates, but it's not super overwhelming, but it does add up over time. In the case of the Xtheme, so number one, WordPress is telling me, hey, I've got 2 updates, probably some plugin updates, maybe something security related. So, I will go take a look at that later and, make sure I'm all set. But if I roll down here to Pro, so this is Xtheme Pro is what I'm using on this website. So here is the settings and setup for Xtheme. We have validation status to make sure that I've got a legit license, our settings. We have theme options. So there's a lot of things we can change. And sometimes what happens with Xtheme is while they're making some improvements for us, they move buttons around or they change the look and feel. Like this isn't too dramatic, but this does look under theme options. This looks fairly different from just a couple of months ago when they rolled out one of our latest updates. So when big new updates happen, we don't torture our customers with those updates, we torture ourselves. So when I know that a new Xtheme update is out and I've gotten notifications on it, and we've got a lot of clients who are running Xtheme, I will do the updates here on Explore Prescott, on azdrone.net, and on rlcdesign.net. Those are my 3 sites. So those sites are my test beds. They're the platform where if something's going to blow up, I'm going to blow it up on one of my own websites. And so these major changes, let me see, Ray Hollins, don't you just love how some developers love to move the function buttons? Ray, you have no idea. Xtheme has got to be my #1, and so not picking on them, I'm still using them. Let me exit out to the dashboard. So one of the really nice things in Xtheme, once you start your page building, you can take a look. So here's the front page, and I can just run up here to the Pro button and edit the page. So, and there's a point to all this. This is going to get into some questions I had about the Ricoh and some other questions as well, just to let everyone know. Don't panic when they move your buttons, but it's probably going to take you a few minutes to find where everything's been relocated. But I will get regular emails from my Udemy courses and my Teachable courses. Hey, Rich, this changed. And keeping up with all the changes, especially some of the ones that seem really small and insignificant, those are the ones that can drive you crazy. So let's see here. I'm just going to select on highlighted recreation. So this is just one segment of the site. But a lot has changed on here as far as how I access things between one of the older versions and the newest version. So they move buttons around. They move where the inspectors are. Like in another version of this, so I haven't brought this one all the way up to speed with a couple others. In another version of this, some of these buttons on the left-hand side are missing, and they're now up on the top bar. I haven't done that update on Explore Prescott yet because there's some headaches that go along with it. So as they just simply move menu items around, like some of these buttons on the left-hand bar, that's enough to drive you crazy. Then when you start getting into your editing, they have brought us new features. So don't get me wrong, I like new features. But when they bring you the new features, but they move the jello around the plate, as it were, sometimes it can become very frustrating. And so like several of my clients are holding off on the latest Xtheme update. I've actually done a video highlighting the major changes, and a couple of the clients who do some of their own management really don't want to go there yet because they're just getting used to the interface they're using today. So, these updates are going to happen, and, we're going to have to deal with them, roll with them. So on my classes, I will be doing some updates regarding a couple items that we're touching on today. I have turned off my Xtheme class on Udemy because the changes are coming so quickly and moving so many things around. It's enough just for me to deal with the changes without having to redo 12 or 13 hours of classwork. So that one is no longer set up for signing up anymore, so it's a legacy one. Maybe someday I'll redo one if I've got a lot of extra time, but website building is a complex topic, so there we go. All right, so Explore Prescott is just one example of some of these things, but recently I was also made aware. So let's go ahead and close that one. So I've got everything set up on the same Chrome for you. It was brought to my attention several weeks ago that, hey, there's a new version of MapPilot. So for those of you who are regulars on the channel, you know that I use MapPilot regularly for doing some of my 2D and 3D modeling flights. MapPilot has been a favorite of mine. Actually, all of the ones that I use have their places and have what they work best at. So I do have several apps on the phone. MapPilot Pro is now going to be taking the place of MapPilot and MapPilot Business. So there's going to be an end of life on your MapPilot. So with that in mind, I do have a class on Teachable. about Map Pilot, so I am going to be revising that one, and that's going to be coming in the next 2 weeks, because they're not super dramatic, but they're noticeable enough that it might frighten some users that, hey, they've changed a lot on me. So I will be re-recording some of that stuff. So Map Pilot, I'm going to pull that up on screen in a minute for you to check out as well. So there have been some noticeable changes just in interface and setups, but also now, they had the basic free version, and I was also using the business version. Now for Map Pilot Pro, you can get a free version. There are a lot of limitations, so they don't allow the terrain aware or grid missions, so linear spot check missions. So yeah, there are definitely some features not available in the free version. But if you try out the free version, you're going to get a good idea of what's going on with it. So I'm probably going to be going for the base user. I don't need some of the other tools, but we'll see what my final decision is. But as you can see, so $5 a month or $50 a year, or the Pro version if you're processing a lot of things with them. Remember, Map Pilot is used to capture the data, not to model the data after, but Map Pilot's primary function is capturing that flight data for us for a 2D or 3D model. So we can take that data afterward and run it through a 2D and 3D processing service of our choice. We don't just have to use Map Pilot, so that's great. But if you are a fan of Map Pilot, I'll be letting everyone know when we do that update to the class. Now, what I'm doing right now, I'm grabbing my iPhone here, and we're going to do a little screen mirroring. So here we go. Just setting up for the Mac Mini. And we're just waiting for it. There it goes. All right. So there's our mirror on my iPhone. I'm just going to minimize this one, and I'm going to minimize this one for you as well. And let's go ahead and flip this to the side so that we can take a look at Rich's iPhone. So I've got a lot of different applications on here, your standard iPhone apps, and then of course I have a whole slew of drone apps. What I wanted to show you quickly here, so the Maps Made Easy Map Pilot in the bottom right hand corner right there is the old version. So right away, here's the interface that we always start out with Map Pilot. So we have 4 options. We can create a new mission, we can check out our mission plans, we have a file manager, and then we have our settings for Map Pilot. Now this is going to be coming to an end of life. So that means if you use this later this year, we're going to go into unsupported territory. So you're going to have to make some decisions and do a little research on your own as well. While I know that people come to channels like mine to get updates on these software packages and maybe hardware as well, sometimes we're not even up to date with these, and it takes someone else letting us know. So be prepared, to poke through and check these things out on your own. I always encourage people investigating things, not just leaving it up to their favorite tutorial channel, because we might miss something. So it's worth the time for you to test the new features out as well. So I'm just going to close out the original Map Pilot window here, and then we're going to slide on over to the next screen because I haven't popped Map Pilot Pro in. So immediately, there's a big change in front of us. Instead of 4 specific items, now we have a new mission for mission planning. We have the mission plans. I'm supposing that's where we're saving things. We have our settings. We have a file manager. We have a quick map setup, so that's new to me. I'm going to be doing some reading. And data transfer, so I'm excited about this. If I can actually share data and things, that's going to be great. But just like you, it's going to take me a little while to go in and pick through all of the new features, see what they do, experiment with them. So I do encourage experimentation for you, okay? So just give it a whirl. And if you're a Map Pilot user, you can download the new Pro version, which I already did. And I've already got a login and things with them. So they've given me several days of the Map Pilot Pro features to test with. So I need to take advantage of that this week and do some of the testing. Now I'm just going to tap on the new mission. Hey, it brings us up into our neighborhood. We could start plotting things out. So this looks very familiar from the original Map Pilot. It's not looking crazy and out of sorts. It feels very familiar. Up on the upper left, it tells me that it's looking for the drone. So that's something new. It didn't Didn't say that it was looking for the drone before. On the left-hand side, we have our area for plotting, and then we have all of these items up on the top toolbar as well. So like I said, it's going to take a little experimentation for me. Oh, when I brought that down, so they moved some things around too. So the normal mission here on the left used to be somewhere in the center of this. The altitude used to be down on the left-hand bar. It was one of the other sliders, so they must have had some user interface input on that to let them know what people liked and didn't like. So I can see some small minor changes, but as you get 4, 5, 6, 7 small minor changes, it starts feeling like a lot more changes. So keep an eye on channel. I'll let you know when we do something new on Map Pilot for sure. Let me exit out of there. So mission plans, I haven't saved or synced anything yet, but I like seeing that sync button too. That sounds like I'm going to be able to share this across devices, like some of the other products out there that I really like. Easier sharing is huge. So being able to share like on Drone Harmony, for instance, their sharing is great. The sharing on Litchi's Mission Hub is great. So, you know, I like seeing that maybe we're going to be able to sync and share here. And then settings, we've got a lot of information. So as you can see, I'm signed up with digitalrvmac.com. Right now I'm on the service level of Pro, but I'm going to be up. It's already expired on me, so I will have to take a look through and see what that means. So there's a lot of settings there. File manager, that's going to be probably, you know, keeping track, so our CSV files will appear here. Quick map, I don't have really any idea, so this is a sample data set. I'll have to play with this after and just see what's going on. And then take a look at data transfer. So, all right, upload time. And maybe this is data transfer to Maps Made Easy. I'm not sure yet because I haven't started heavily playing around with it. All right, so I'm going to close that one out. Before we leave the iPhone behind, you know, our whole topic today is about, you know, hardware updates, software updates, firmware updates, and keeping up with these things. And I just wanted to show you, so on my front page, or, you know, on the front of my iPhone here, we've got the App Store, and it's telling me I have 5 updates to do. Yesterday, I had like 8 updates to do. It seems almost every single day there's some kind of update for something that we have. So at some point, it does become a very frustrating issue. And that's going to lead into the next part of today, because I had a contact from someone who's been following along on the YouTube channel, and they run into some problems, and they've identified something for me where I'm not willing to do an update yet. All right, so let's go ahead and close down that screen share, stop the mirroring. There we go, and we'll set the iPhone to the side, and let's pull up my next window. So just several days ago, let me see, Ray, would the sync option allow transfer of existing missions? That's a good question, Ray. That's going to be something that I'm going to be looking into, because I have a bunch of saved missions on my iPhone 8 that I use for all of my drone work. And then I also have Map Pilot on the iPad as well, and on this iPhone as well. So I've got it everywhere. It would be great to be able to synchronize across all of them, because right now I have to remember, oh, this flight you put on this device, and this flight you put on this device. So if it's a quick sync, that's going to be awesome. All right. Now, and excuse me if I have a little cough here. Hold on one sec. We can hit the mute button. All right, let's make sure the audio is being picked up now. So, by the way, here in Prescott, Arizona, spring has sprung. There's so much in the air right now, including what looks like a snowstorm of little puffballs. And those little puffballs are from the cottonwood trees here. All right, just double checking that the audio was there. But yeah, so the cottonwoods got my number this week. So what we are looking at is a screen capture from the Ricoh Theta Z1. So this was inspired by one of our YouTube subs here, and thank you so much for pointing this one out. I haven't taken a look at the firmware updates lately on the Theta Z1, but so I did a screen cap from it this morning, because the YouTube sub said, hey, just to let you know, the time shift shooting, where you can have the Ricoh Theta Z1 shoot on this side and then shoot on this side, apparently is not working for him. And he must have done the latest version update. So looking down on this, my camera, my Ricoh Theta Z1 is currently at 1.60.1. And the latest version, Ricoh Theta Z1 firmware, is at 1.80.1. Okay, so definitely a firmware update, but hearing from one of the folks on channel saying that they can't use the time shift now is concerning to me. And oftentimes when developers will do updates and bring us new features, I actually read through a little bit about the update, and the update was addressing an iPhone connection issue. I didn't dive into it too deeply, but so under the detailed information on the screen, I did a little read through. Right now, I'm going to continue holding off on doing this firmware update because of the fact that the time shift has been useful now that we've figured it out and figured out where it fits in our workflow space. But so just blindly doing updates, like grabbing your iPhone first thing in the morning, seeing 5 updates on it and hitting, okay, go ahead and update, could be dangerous for you. When we look back at what I was saying about the web work before with Xtheme, I host on a service provider that does nightly backups for me. So if I screw something up horribly in the morning when I start working on a client site, I can very easily restore from backup, put myself back before that update. So I've got all of those backups there for me all the time. So it's not super concerning that a major disaster is going to happen on one of my client websites. But when we're doing a firmware update like this on our iPhone, connected to the Ricoh Theta Z1, or a firmware update that DJI pushes out, we've all seen moments where when DJI has pushed out firmware updates previously, a lot of people ended up having problems. That's not picking on DJI. That's saying, the reality of software development is such that sometimes, even with a lot of testing and a lot of proofing beforehand, some users will have more problems than others. In the case of the web building that we were talking about before with WordPress and Xtheme, I also have a lot of other plugins that do different things, like Slider Revolution and Essential Grid for making grid setups. And sometimes those plugins don't interact well either with the latest version of WordPress or the latest version of Xtheme. And suddenly you do a simple update on a slideshow presenter that knocks your website down. And then you've got to go restore from backup again. So even the most innocuous updates sometimes actually cause us some problems. So for any of you out there who are Ricoh Theta Z1 users, please leave a comment below. Get in touch real quick and let me know. Have you moved on to the Z1 firmware 1.8? Are you still on 1.6? If you've moved to 1.8, have you experienced any problems? And specifically, have you tried out TimeShift, the TimeShift plugin, to see if it's still functioning for you? Because I'd like to be able to give a better answer to the person who's asking the question here on YouTube. So I would love to hear from anybody regarding this one. So I'm going to go ahead and close that one. So that's probably giving you the idea. Let's see here. Oh, yes. And also in this talk today, so sometimes, updates are fantastic, and it's exactly what we've been looking for and what we wanted. Oh, so there's the Ricoh Theta Z1 plugin page. And if you look on here, if you start looking through what they have, number one, right there up front on Ricoh's website is time shift shooting. So the report that I got from the other commenter the other day says this is not going now. So, if this is their number one listed plugin, you'd think that they'll want to make sure that this is working well for all of us as customers. I'm going to close that one up, and then I want to make mention of Kuula. So here's another another one of the web apps that we use, and we use it regularly. If you're a regular here, we've been doing a lot more 360 work, and it's a lot of fun. We use Kuula for our hosting. And just a couple of days ago, we had another shoot over at Lynx Lake. Just a fun little tour around the Lynx Lake area. And then we see a new 360 tour on here. And Jody ran into some issues. So a couple of small changes have been made. And what's really funny is Kuula got in touch with me the other day. They had a question for me, and I'll be hopefully talking to them today. But we had to do a little poking around. So this new, let's go over to our tours. So our newest tour is Lynx. So Lynx Lake's a really great recreation area. As I've said to folks on this channel all the time, if you're ever in the area and you haven't visited Prescott, Arizona or the high desert, I'd suggest popping through because this is such a unique location. All right, so one of the things that we found in here while Jody was working on through with some of this stuff is that our backlink setup had changed. So when you're going from one scene to another scene in Kuula, so one 360 to another 360, one of the things you can do is have it create an automatic backlink so that when you go to that next image, there's already a link back to the last image you used. I will be doing a longer tutorial on this, so I'll actually be doing a demo showing you what we're talking about. But so as we were working through our latest one, Jody came across the fact that she said, oh, well, a little something has changed when we do new hotspots. And there was a little message from Kuula that, hey, there's been some changes here. So we read that and found out, you know, not an earth-shattering change, but they did move some things a little bit. So some of our settings that we were doing in the overall Kuula interface where we were laying things out for those backlinks, there were some options right there while we were in that editor. But now they've done some updates to preferences. So this isn't a problematic one. It's just if you've been using Kuula, you might notice and say to yourself, hey, some things seem like they were slightly moved around on us. And you're correct. So Jody picked up on that one and said to me, hey, something a little has changed, not a super big deal. So we read through their little information, and sure enough, they had made some minor changes and they popped some of them over in preferences. So you need to go under your account profile and you can preset some things here. So number one, hey, we've got, you know, English for the language. Number two, our default privacy. So when we start building a new tour, you can set your default privacy. Do you just want it public or do you want it hidden until you finish doing it? So right now we go with unlisted and we can just set it to public or we can set it to private as well. I like unlisted, that works. And then when we're done editing things, we'll go ahead and switch it over to public. For our clients where we're doing MLS stuff and real estate stuff, we might have this unlisted here, but then we just provide them with the embed codes. Also, one of the other things, if you hadn't noticed previously, under preferences, we've got a super fast load version. We've got balance is what they're recommending. And then we've got the high quality, which only goes with the Kuula Pro plan. So we are Pro plan subscribers. I can talk today. And so we've started playing with that to see the quality differences. So also we do, you know, for most of the tours that we're out there on, we make the GPS location public. For any of the private clients, we can easily just turn this off before we're uploading something. But so here we go. The thing that caught our attention was the backlink editor and where it used to be in our workflow. Now we pop over here to preferences and it can actually ask us, so do not add or remove, ask each time, add and remove automatically. So we're going with ask each time for now. So there we go. And I don't have a Google Analytics set up with this one. So once again, not the biggest, scariest change in the world. However, if you're used to the workflow and you're used to just cruising right along in Kuula, when you go to set up a new hotspot now, it used to be that you had an option down at the bottom, you know, do you want this backlinked or not? So, okay, just making sure I'm not missing anyone else's comments over there. So not dramatic, not shocking. However, it could throw you off if you're used to your workflow. So on channel, you will be seeing an updated tutorial about this part. And I also over on teachable.com do have a simple Kuula class, and this is going to be getting added into that class as well. And so before I forget, just we'll do, you know, got to keep the lights on here. So I'm just popping up, there we go, AZ Drone and our Patreon channel. So for those of you interested in following along, getting some other behind the scenes information and also some regular Zoom meetings, I would suggest checking out our Patreon channel because we just had another Zoom meeting yesterday that was a lot of fun. And so we've got those up in the bottom for you. So if you want to check out our Teachable, our Teachable channel, or our Patreon channel right down there in the right-hand corner of the screen for you. All right, so we're going to close this one, or actually I'm going to leave that one sitting for a moment. So minor changes in Kuula, but still there we go. Finally, I also wanted to talk about Drone Harmony for a couple minutes, as we've been using this with our newest project. And so I just wanted to circle back on this one, because a lot of the features that Drone Harmony is now incorporating, just like Map Pilot has expanded some features on Map Pilot, Drone Harmony, those folks are also making additions to their software, and a lot of it's based on their own client requests as well. So these developers never sit still. So Map Pilot, the folks over at Litchi, and all the rest, they're always developing something new. I won't say that for Ground Station Pro. That seems to have just come to a grinding halt. I haven't seen an update for that in forever. I don't know if DJI is intending on supporting it down the road or not. I hope they do. I still find it a likable app. But as I've gotten to know Drone Harmony better and better over the past year, you can note really quickly, so we're just saying, hey, let's pretend we're making something here. But under their terrain mapping, so terrain mapping was a newer feature. They've also included data from Airbus for terrain-aware flights, and they allow us to do terrain mapping, terrain grids. But one of the ones that jumped out at me recently, which is a newer feature that caught my attention because of some of the areas that I'm working in, very steep hillsides, mountaintop homes, call it what you like. We've got some really incredible views around here, and some of the home sites are in fairly precarious locations with some pretty steep driveways. I'd hate to hit those in the snow. Amazing views, but also some really rapid elevation changes. So something like the terrain hill scan and the terrain orbits can factor right into building your models for, we could be doing residential, multifamily residential, other types of commercial construction sites, and maybe they're built in unique locations. It does happen. So, Drone Harmony has been rolling out some new features, and we're going to see some more new features from them in the near future. And keep in mind, they've got their web interface and they've got their Android interface, and these two things sync up. So once again, team members can be sharing different flights they're going to be doing. And Fern, hello, I'm a new subscriber. Do you know what would be the best drone for 1,500 or less? Ooh, if you had a little more flexibility, a little higher than that 1,500, it's got to be the Phantom 4 Pro 2 still. So the Phantom 4 Pros, they do have the mechanical shutter, so that is a big thing, versus the electronic shutter for minimizing motion blur and doing a better job of documenting your mapping sites. But so in that price range, the Phantom 4 Pro 2, let's Phantom 4 Pro version 2. I think it's still, yeah, there we go. Adorama, so DJI Phantom 4 Pro 2 is coming in there at $15.99, so you might want to look around. But so we're using Mavics because we've got several of them. I would like to have a Phantom 4 Pro 2. One of the reasons why I went with a smaller drone was we were actually living full-time in an Airstream. So that was 200 square feet of space, so not a lot of space for big drones. So we ended up starting out with the Mavic series, and while they do work well for a lot of work we're doing, if I had it to do over again, that would be the one that I'd be grabbing, Fern. So go check out those Phantom 4 Pro version 2s, and maybe if you had just a little more flexibility in the budget, that one could come in for you. Don't forget, also going to be looking at additional batteries for these, and also the different applications, like some of the ones we've been talking about today. You're going to need your flight applications for capturing your data, and then you're going to need processing applications, either desktop ones like Pix4D and Metashape, or cloud-based ones like Drone Deploy and Maps Made Easy. And there are other ones out there, of course, but these are the ones that I'm most familiar with. But so there's going to be some extra expenditures beyond just getting the drone. So keep that in mind and take a watch through this channel. We've got a lot of different videos about building your drone business as well. So it will give you some other ideas of the other things that you're going to need in starting up if you're interested in the mapping and surveying. So, and I hope you have fun with it as well. Doing the mapping and modeling is some really interesting stuff. I personally really enjoy it. And, you know, there's a lot of opportunities for drone work, not just doing the mapping and modeling. You know, a lot of different video things and flying different sites. We've got a neighbor who works with closed mines. So they actually document mines that are no longer functioning for environmental services and other services. And so we've been talking about drone work and where it could fit into his business model for the engineering work he does. So, hey, drones might be helping him out soon. So yeah, I'm going to close down the drone harmony one. So I just wanted to show several different things, you know, just over the past couple of weeks, things that have had improvements and additions. And cool, Fern, I'm glad that that's helpful. And yeah, seriously, check out, if you're really serious about the maps and the models, Phantom 4 Pro 2. That's what I'd be grabbing. And this year, if it's in the budget, we'll be seeing one of those in here. So it's been a slower start to the year. All right, let me make sure. Did I miss anything else? Oh yeah, I did. So 2 different things just to fill you guys in. Number 1, thanks for everyone who's been following along with this channel. I'm happy to say that we've crossed 5,000 subscribers here. So it's been a slow growth channel. It's not as fast. You know, I started up about the same time as 51 Drones and a couple others. I've been talking about a very specific niche market. So I don't do drone distance and speed tests, and you know, I'm not out there doing a lot of cinematic work with these or anything. You know, I'm focusing on building this, sharing with other people who are interested in it. So it's been a much slower growth process, but I'm really happy to say that, hey, we've crossed 5,000. And I know over on Udemy, we've crossed over 2,000 students. And I don't have the numbers right off the top of my head from Teachable. So I'm using a 3D Vista, so Kuula review, not really for me. But if you do a bit more about stitching and PT GUI, Bartosz, I can absolutely do that. And I have walked through, I've got some things on some of the setups on PT GUI on the Teachable channel, but we can talk a little more about it here as well. So yeah, I love using PT GUI, and actually I got that back in 2017, so it's still working great for me. And, you know, now there are, of course, a lot of other tools out there for stitching as well. But I think PT GUI is kind of, you know, it's the one when it comes right down to it. So in addition to noting that we've hit the 5,000 subscribers mark, I also wanted to, some changes are happening with YouTube. Actually, let's go back here. So recently I was contacted by the folks over at Soundstripe. All right, that's going. And Soundstripe, so for my video projects and sometimes for some of the courses and things here, I will put a little bit of background music in here and there. I've been using Soundstripe for several years now, where I can get audio files that go on to my videos. Let me see, congrats. Now get them involved with the streams on Zoom and Patreon. Thanks, Corey. Yeah, and that's why I've got those 2 little items up in the bottom right corner. If you guys are interested in some more behind the scenes info and also in our live Sunday Zoom meetings, then check out the Patreon channel and, you know, see if it would be good for you. So we're starting to build the community, and actually just yesterday we opened up a new Discord server at the request of one of our patrons. So some of our other patrons haven't used Discord yet, so they're still learning it, getting into it. But if you'd like to be part of that small growing community, we'd love to have you. Okay, so the reason I pulled up Soundstripe wasn't to do an advertisement or anything for them. I'm a paying customer. But I got a notification recently from Soundstripe to feed them my channels. So the channel that you found this live stream on, the Rich Charpentier channel, what's been going on is more and more some of these copyright companies are dinging people with copyright claims, even though we're using one of these services. So these services might, Soundstripe and a competitor and another competitor, maybe they've got the same audio file, maybe they got the same song, and the creator of it is hosting it on all 3. What happens sometimes is the other companies will say, you're using it illegally. They'll do a copyright claim against you. And then you got to go through this whole process to prove that, hey, you know, I licensed this through these guys. Just the other day in my Gmail account that deals with my YouTube and everything, I got a notification that, hey, I just got dinged with a copyright claim. But right behind that, Soundstripe, you guys are awesome. They've always tried to make the process easier on us, and they're looking out for their users. And I know there's a lot of other sound companies out there, but these guys made me super happy because I listed my channel with them when I got an email notification from them that, hey, we're offering this new service to help you out so that if you get dinged with a copyright claim, we're there for you. Well, right behind that Gmail saying I had a copyright claim against me was a second Gmail from YouTube going, we're releasing that copyright claim because we know that you license it properly. So thank you, Soundstripe, for making that such an easy process. And more, you know, as things are changing with YouTube, I think there's going to be more copyright claim issues, and those can be discouraging and confusing. You know, I also used another sounddesign.net, or I can't remember the exact name. I bought a bundle of things from them that I could use unlimited according to their licensing. And let me tell you, whenever I use those audio files, I always get dinged with a copyright claim. Then I have to go in and contest the copyright claim and tell YouTube, I purchased it through this company, here's my license thing. And then a couple days later, they release the copyright claim. It's such a hassle. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Soundstripe for, you know, watching the backs of their customers. Thank you guys so much. That was the smoothest copyright claim I've ever had. Popped up and then it went away thanks to the Soundstripe setup. So awesome stuff. And if you're shopping around for audio files, they're also doing video files now, and they're doing sound effects files as well. So if you're needing some things for your next upcoming project, check them out. I know there's a ton of different ones out there, and they're all great. The music selection on this one's been fantastic. I've never, you know, found it wanting or anything. So, and once again, I'm not, you know, I'm not an advertiser for them or anything. Nobody's paying for that. It's just worked really well for me. And I always like telling people about things that work really well for me. All right, so there we are on the YouTube. And I just wanted to go back to the studio real quick. Take a look in here. So on the YouTube studio, for those of you who are just usually viewers and not content creators, we have our little dashboard letting us know about things. And I just wanted to show you this, so important notification, video received a copyright claim. So this was on May 5th, but that claim was resolved on the same day. So awesome. All right, and current subscribers, we're at 5,005. Thanks to everyone for being a part of this channel. It's super appreciated. For those of you who might have come in late or missed this, this will be available before the end of the day, most likely. It takes YouTube a little while to process these live streams. So the live stream will be up, and you can go back through and rewatch it later. All right, everyone, watch out for those firmware updates. Watch out for those software updates. If you have a test platform, use that test platform first and foremost. Whenever I'm trying some of my new flight features, I break out my original Mavic Pro before I break out the Mavic 2 Pro. So, you know, if something's going to happen, I'd rather it happen to the lower end one than the higher end one. So, and if you're web building, always make sure to have backups, because that one plugin could throw you right out the window and cost you a lot of time. By the way, one other thing on Kuula that I just noted down on the bottom, like I said, I'm going to be doing a longer tutorial on that in the very near future, but their updated map feature I really like, because when I'm in the editing mode, I can actually move these around. We shot this particular series with the Canon 7D, so no GPS information was available. But after we load the images up on Kuula, we can tell it on the map where it is. We can move those buttons around. So I really love this new extra little feature. It's new to me. I don't know how long it's been out, but in that upcoming tutorial, we'll talk about that map option as well, and we'll play around with it a bit. All right, everybody, we're going to wrap up today's live stream. So we kept it under an hour. Good job, Rich. And once again, as Corey was so kind to point out, if you're interested, pop by the Patreon channel, see if it's something that you might like to participate in. And we do have an active community of folks who are also interested in building their drone and imaging businesses. So we have some pretty open-ended conversations there. And I think we're going to be upgrading our Zoom access so that we can go longer than 40 minutes as well. So adding some new community members will help us to set up with Zoom for their paid-for plan. All right, everyone, have a great start to the week. There might be some other videos coming out this week, some minor tutorials, and some flight videos at the end of this week. Have you been uploading them on Google Maps? All right, Corey, you got me to stay on for a minute more. Let me do this. Screen mirroring and Mac Mini. All right, so let's pull this up. So I'm just waiting for it to, there we go. So one of the other fun things that I like to take a look at in the morning, so we started uploading things to Google Street Maps maybe last August. And so I've got the Google Street Maps app on my iPhone here. And so, like I said, I think we started into these last August, uploading them to Google Maps. So far, we have had, hey, where is, it seems to have dropped my air server here. Let's try this again. Screen mirroring. Mac Mini. So now we're waiting patiently. There it goes. Okay. So right on screen there we have the Google Street View. So we're up to 158,000 views of those. So that's awesome. Nice one, Ray. Well done, Corey. So 158,000 views right now. And you're welcome, Fern, and let us know if you pick up that Phantom 4 Pro and how you like it. So the latest series that we have over on Kuula, we've also uploaded Lynx Lake, and as you can see, we just literally uploaded it this past weekend, so this is brand new, and 2,752 views of it right now. The Elks Theater, which is also hosted over on our Kuula, but we also popped it up on Street View, 2,061. The one that blows my mind, so yes, I get to go through these, and I hope I'm not making you seasick. The one that absolutely blew my mind is Goldwater Lake, coming in at 55,000 views, and that one was shot last August. So yeah, I'm regularly checking these, Corey. For the purposes of my clients, the Kuula hosting is really useful to them. You know, Cloud Pano or any of the others you can do this with as well. But the fact that you can give your customers their own embed codes so they can embed on their website and maybe embed on other websites. You know, I'm still heavily using that side. Google Street Views is cool and useful, but you know, it's not so great. It doesn't get you known as well as it should. So they do have a you know, a Street View photographer setup, but right now they're not taking new people. So while I'm listed as a Street View photographer and recommended, I can't get myself on their list of Street View photographers in the Prescott area to use. They were changing that plan, and it's kind of just been in limbo for a long time. But yes, we still do upload those so that if people are looking for our customers or they're looking for links, like let's say, they're going to find some really cool 360s in there. And if they come over to the Explore Prescott site or over to Kuula, they're going to find the full tours really nice and cleaned up compared to the Google Street View version. So we do both. And it's interesting to see the growth of our Street View numbers. 150 something thousand. That's all right for under a year. I'm all right with that. Okay, everyone, once again, have a great rest of the week, and keep your eyes open for other new videos. We should have some new ones coming out. And this week, we better get our flights in, because last week was just meeting, flight reschedule, meeting, flight reschedule. So I need to get going on this before this gets too hot around here. I'd rather have these nice 70-something degree days for doing our flying. All right, everyone, as always, thanks for hanging out for a bit, and we will see you again really soon. I'm now pulling these up so that we can stop the stream, and we'll see you again in, well, a week at the latest.